So I grew up in a Christian home, and I got saved when I was 4, and I got baptized when I was 8, and that was just what you did. I mean, I think I had a real friendship with Jesus, but it was just kind of the only option in my home. When I was 12, a friend suggested that we pretend to be each other's crushes. So ultimately, a girl ended up being my first kiss, and I didn't even know the term bisexual at the time. So I was actively engaging in something I didn't even know a term for. And then throughout junior high and high school, I got a reputation for being kind of easy, just being willing to make out with anybody, guy or girl. And I met my husband when we were in junior high, and we started dating our senior year of high school. So we dated through our senior year, and then he went off to the Navy, and I moved into my college dorm. And this guy, who was a resident advisor at UT, befriended me. And one night I needed a place to crash, and he told me I could sleep on his futon, and I woke up to him sexually assaulting me. And it didn't feel like there was a way to come back from that. So I began drinking pretty regularly, and every time I drank, I would mess around with guys or girls. And I'd always wake up the next morning feeling regret. I'd tell God I was sorry. I'd tell my boyfriend I was sorry. And I don't know, I guess I just assumed they would keep forgiving me. And then 6 months into our marriage, I found out that I was pregnant, and I wasn't supposed to be able to get pregnant. So that was a complete shock. And I wanted an abortion, but he said no. And I wanted to give the baby up for adoption, and he said no. And I was really scared to lose him at this point, so I just kept the baby and kept my mouth shut. When I was about 8 months pregnant, a friend came to live with us. She needed a place to stay for a little bit, and she was more supportive and more engaging with me than my husband was at the time. So shortly after my son was born, I became romantically involved with her. And I think at that time, just being with a woman felt really safe compared to the guys that had continuously hurt me or used me. And then she ended up moving back home, and my postpartum depression coupled with her leaving just threw me into a tailspin. I was mixing alcohol with antidepressants all the time, and I don't remember going to bed sober for months. My husband looked at me when our son was 6 months old, and he said, "I don't want to be married anymore." And I thought, well, I kept this baby so you would stay with me, and I gave up all these things so that you would stay with me, and now you don't want to be with me, so fine. So I think within less than a week, I had found a guy to sleep with. And I just continued this pattern of putting our son to bed and going out and going to a club, and I started school, and I met a guy at school, and we started a relationship. And it was like I would leave, I would go to school, I would go to his house, and then I would be racing back home at 4 a.m. so that I could take care of our son through the day. And when my son was 10 months old, I woke up next to this guy that I was in a relationship with, and I just thought, this is not okay. I don't want my son to think this is okay. I was raised better than this. So at this point, my husband wanted to reconcile. So I came home and I told him that I was willing to start doing the work. I was willing to go to marriage counseling and So we did, and we joined a local church, and we joined a home group, and these couples just poured into us everything that we were missing as far as guidance and being married. And I think the thing that surprised me is that when I returned to God, the temptation got stronger. I started reading a lot of online, what's called literotica, and trying to fulfill what was still missing in my marriage through that. And I don't think that anybody talks about that that's the same as porn, because that was never my issue. Like, porn was never an issue for me, but the literotica was. And so I kept having problems in my marriage because I had all these unrealistic expectations of what intimacy should look like. So it's not easy. I still struggle with fantasizing when I shouldn't. I still struggle with wanting to be with women. I have to be extremely careful. Just day by day, as I open up to God about my struggles, as I open up to my accountability partner about my struggles, it gets a little bit easier to turn down the noise that Satan brings that says, that this temporary pleasure is what I'm looking for. And I still slip up, and I still have to be really careful, but I do feel like I'm gaining victory every day.